What's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. I got this idea some time ago. What if Naruto never stopped evolving and leveling up, guys? I'll explain more after the intro, so if you want to see, just sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy. And don't forget, if you're new, remember to share it to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, if you want more what ifs, I indeed have 4 more channels that I post what if on every single day. I'll be leaving all of the links down in the description, so go ahead, check out each and every one of them and become a part of the Anime King family. And don't forget to comment your ideas down below. I'll be jotting them down for future use, so go ahead and give me your ideas, guys. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let's begin now, guys. We begin this brand new episode within the dead of night. A young boy was running as he moved through the dark forest. His blonde hair swept behind him, his keen eyes observing everything in front of him. Despite there being a small amount of light that was being shown inside the forest that he was currently in, there was a reason why he was running. Behind him, there was a massive bear chasing after him. However, despite him being only 10 years old, you would think that he would be afraid. However, he was smiling. He looked rather excited as he moved through the foliage, jumping over rocks, ducking under branches that came too close. Looking behind him, the bear seemed to be catching up. However, he braced himself as up ahead there was a little creek that fell straight down. As he reached to the edge, he jumped. Not forward, he jumped upwards, grabbing the branch that was there. The bear, who had its sole intention on its prey, did not slow down as the boy jumped up. The thing went skidding right off the creek, falling down to its demise. The young boy sat in the tree before he reached into his shirt and pulled out an apple, chuckling to himself as he was eating it, watching the bear fall down. "Gotta be much faster next time," he shouted down. As he was seated there, something snuck up behind him as 2 arms appeared out of nowhere, intending to grab him, but he kicked off the branch, pushing himself down to the ground and jumping away. The person landed the moment he did, showing their intense speed. They moved off just as he did. However, he turned to the right and rolled, ducking the person's hand from grabbing him. He then flipped away as he got on his feet. He smirked towards the individual. "Huh, I got one over on you," he said. But that was a mistake, as the thing in front of him simply melted away into snakes. The next moment, he was enveloped from behind. Unable to break free from the restraint, he tried to slip right out. However, she was stronger than him, so that wasn't something that he could accomplish right now. "You have gotten faster, but you're still nowhere on my level," she said down towards him. "And what have I told you about coming out here in the dead of night? I told you how dangerous this place can be, given the proximity of where it is located," she said, releasing him as he turned to face her. The woman that stood behind him was known as Uncle Midarashi, as she looked down toward the small boy. Blonde hair and blue eyes, 3 whisker marks on both of his cheeks. He started to scratch the back of his head something that he tend to always do whenever he did something that he wasn't supposed to. I just wanted to see how much faster I've gotten, he said. You know, most kids would try to test themselves in the day against their friends, comrades, trying to see if their speed has gone up, even on their own. However, you make your way to a rather dangerous forest, antagonize a man-eating bear that would rip you apart, just to test how fast you are. I've always known that you are crazy, but it seems over the years you've gotten a lot worse, she said with a chuckle. Despite the dangerous situation that he put himself in, Naruto Uzumaki, a child that the villagers tend to block out, acting like he doesn't even exist. No one hurted him or did anything bad to him, but it was actually a lot worse to be there and people pretending like your very existence was a curse, something that could just disappear if they ignore it. Over the years, he had tried many ways to gain their attention, but it never seemed to work. However, his time was better spent on himself anyways. You see, Naruto wasn't your average, normal child. He was special. It was his growth. In terms of your average growth that your normal child would go through, that was normal, but Naruto was excelling much faster than all the other children within the academy. He was even the tallest one there. Not by a ridiculous amount, but he was the tallest one there. Even tonight, his eyes could see everything clearly. The place was dark and yet he could see the trees, the rocks in his way, he could see them all. Not to mention his flexibility was ever advancing and growing to new heights. Watch this, he said to Uncle, showing off what he recently learned. Naruto flipped as he landed on both hands. He then bent to the point that his legs touched the ground. He then bent one of his arm around before he twisted himself. It made it seem like he didn't have a spine. As much as she didn't want to think of that man that cursed her, it reminded her of that. It was like Naruto was a snake able to twist and contort himself in different areas and ways. You know, I should be reporting this to the Hokage about you being out here in the dead of night doing these dangerous stuff. Naruto fixed himself as he got to his feet. But you won't do that, he said, because you wouldn't want to get your little buddy into trouble. Now would you, he said, giving her the puppy dog eyes. Tuh, as if that would work on me, Uncle said, folding her arms, as Naruto stepped closer to her, looking her right in the eyes. I promise, I won't do it again, he said. He sounded so sincere. Was the brat getting better at lying, she thought herself. Fine, I'll keep this between us, like many of the other things I have kept between us, she said. But don't do it again. Well, not without my supervision. Am I clear, she said. Sure thing, big sis, said Naruto, with a smile. It was a few years back that he met her. She was rather shocked when she first saw the child in here, having recognized him from, well, everything that took place. Like Naruto, Uncle was also seen as someone that was not in the inner circle of the village, and that was because of what her old master did, Orochimaru. Many people knew about the mark on her, while the villagers didn't have an exact grasp on what he did. Many of them believed that if it came down to it that she would choose his side, despite the years that has passed. People just tend to find it hard to forgive. The main reason was because Orochimaru kidnapped over 30 children, and those parents had friends, and those friends had friends, and those friends had friends, and those friends had friends. Well, you understand where it was going. So it was hard for them to trust her, given that she was so close to him. And in their mind, they heard that she was bonded to him. Well, that is how they saw the mark that was placed on her. Rumors tend to get out of control when they spin out. Strangely enough, not even the Hokage knew about Naruto being special, as Naruto had made her promise to keep it to herself because he wanted to make a big spectacle in the end. For the past couple of years, Naruto wasn't seen as much within the academy, but that was because he wanted to look that way. It was Haruka that gave him the idea actually, telling him that a ninja best tool is to conceal their abilities, allowing their opponent to underestimate them, and then they strike. As Naruto figured that he could train pretty hard and get faster and stronger, passing Sasuke, the top boy in the class. In the beginning, when him and Sasuke first fought, Sasuke defeated him. However, the more Naruto tend to head to the woods, fighting the animals, training with Anko, he was growing at an extraordinary rate, changing and developing. And in the end, Naruto was going to make a big spectacle by defeating the strongest one of the year, humiliating him to be quite exact, because Naruto was a bit petty and he wanted to humiliate Sasuke badly. So Anko vowed to keep his secret, a trust of bond that built their friendship actually. Yes, build it what it was today. Not many people know that they were this close. They had no idea. Time skip. It was finally the big day. After waiting for so long, Haruka told them about the final testing of their skills before the graduation. Naruto was now 12 years old. He's even gotten a bit taller. Naruto was standing with all of the graduation class. They would be trying to pass the tests, trying to become ninjas of the Hidden Leaf Village very soon. Many were cheering on their friends as they fought, off against one another. Naruto could not wait. However, it struck him what? If Sasuke was not his opponent, that would be bad, he said. It didn't matter if he defeated anyone else, he needed to defeat Sasuke, just to finally put him in his place, to show him that he wasn't better than him. On the first day when Sasuke defeated him, he called him a loser, and that had stuck with Naruto for some time now. He was going to feed him those words right back. Naruto prayed as he waited. However, this was being set up by Haruka, his assistant Mizuki nearby. Mizuki told him to make the match as they did when they first started the academy with these students. Haruka didn't want it to do that, not wanting to degrade any of his children's spirit, especially Naruto. The child did not deserve any of the hate that he received, and going up against Sasuke would just... However, Mizuki persisted that it would help him grow as a ninja, although he didn't have the best interest at heart for Naruto. None at all really. When Naruto heard his name with Sasuke, he cheered a little. Kiba, a friend nearby, looked towards him. Why the hell are you so happy? Are you some kind of masochist or something? Happy to get your ass kicked? Naruto turned towards him with a big grin on his face. Just watch and see, he said, making his way. When he finally entered the ring, Sasuke was stoic like usual, having gone through a great trauma that Naruto tended to have not really focused on. He just wanted to feed Sasuke back his words. However, Sasuke saw this as a waste of time. Why don't you just give up, he said. It's not like you're going to win. However, all Naruto did was grin. Kick his ass, Sasuke, Sakura Haruno said. Naruto once liked her. However, after speaking to Anko, he come to realize that she didn't like him one bit. Anko had taught him a lot, especially about the opposite gender. As Naruto stood there, grinning, Sasuke and him both made the unison sign. Once that was said and done, Mizuki was expecting Naruto to be defeated swiftly, to be humiliated. However, when the match began, Sasuke swung, no hesitation, intending on taking Naruto down with one blow, as he did when they first fought. However, Naruto bent back all the way to the ground, shocking everyone including the teachers. How was he able to do that? His hands touching the ground. Sasuke pulled back immediately, and a good thing that he did, as Naruto brought his feet up when he pulled back. If he hadn't moved, the kick that would have hit him would have sent him sailing. Naruto flipped back to his feet as he started to bounce from one feet to another. His fighting style seemed rather unusual, to the point that Iruka and Mizuki was trying to understand what the hell was that. His arm was outstretched, one of his legs was slipped back. His body was positioned like a weapon that was about to strike. No, more like a snake that was about to strike outwards. Sasuke took the challenge though and ran forward, intending on ending this. He went for a right, but it was a fake as he lashed out his left. When Naruto had moved so fast as it knocked him right in his joint, right near to his elbow. The Uchiha felt pain spasm in his hand. Naruto did not punch him. He hit him with his fingers outstretched, compact together to deliver a nasty strike, like he's just been hit by an incredible amount of force. But said force compacted upon itself and affected only one point, causing maximum damage. Sasuke lashed out with his other hand, but Naruto weaved underneath it. He flipped and rolled as he flipped over Sasuke's head, grabbing the back of Sasuke's shirt and pulling it over his head. Naruto then yanked it and flipped Sasuke with ease. The Uchiha was slammed on the ground. Everyone was shocked. None of the girls could say a word as they witnessed this. Sasuke groaned and picked himself up, lashing out with a kick as he jumped forward. However, Naruto stepped to the side, showing a much more advanced speed than Sasuke had. Both of their eyes met, Sasuke looking shocked and worried when Naruto grabbed his ankle. Naruto then started to spin in one place. His feet started to tear the ground apart as he spun so hard, the both of them becoming a blur. He then released Sasuke as he ran, outpacing his throw. Now that shocked the hell out of Iruka, as Naruto made it before Sasuke could and held his hand out. Sasuke back slamming into Naruto's hand. Naruto seemingly cancelling out the force, which was more than surprising. Sasuke crumbled on the ground in pain, his whole body giving out on him as he collapsed, face first. Naruto flipped him over. "Loser," he said, with a big grin on his face. All Sasuke could do was groan in pain. However, Naruto couldn't win because all the girls turned against him for hurting Sasuke. "I really can't win," said Naruto. However, some of the guys seemed rather pleased about that. Sasuke had defeated almost all of them after all. Kiba was stunned and also upset as well. Does this mean that Naruto was also stronger than him now? Well, that wasn't good at all, he thought to himself. Time skip. Naruto was called by an envoy after the academy. A few hours after he left, the Hokage wished to speak with him, as Naruto figured what it was about, making his way there. As he was brought up, the secretary telling him that he could go inside. "Old man," said Naruto as he entered inside. Hiruzen just putting a few papers away. "Ah, Naruto." "Sit down," he said. As Naruto did so, "I'm sure you're wondering why I call you here today." "Nah, I can figure it out. You're probably wondering about my amazing skills that I used to defeat Sasuke today. Did someone tell you about it?" he asks. "And how would you know that was it?" Hiruzen said to Naruto. What else could it be?" said Naruto. "Well, it is that," Hiruzen said. "So, would you mind enlightening me where that came from?" Hiruzen said, a bit worried. If someone was teaching Naruto, someone that was intending on using him for darker purposes, it wouldn't be a good thing. Someone immediately came to mind, and Hiruzen prayed that it wasn't that person. A ninja must always keep their skills hidden until their opponent underestimates them. That is what I've been doing for the longest time now. And finally, I was able to surpass that Uchiha bastard and kick his ass, Naruto said. He was so proud of himself. So who taught you? Hiruzen said. After all, I heard about the fighting style that you use. It wasn't one that was taught in the academy. Oh, that, said Naruto looking away, not sure what to say about this. As he was a bit worried, Hiruzen got out of his chair, looking serious. Naruto, if someone taught you, you need to tell me. I need to know, he said, desperate to know the truth. Because if this was a person that he had on mind, this wasn't good. This wasn't good at all. Why are you so serious, old man? The person that taught me, it's not like they did anything bad. No, they didn't, but... And I would like to know who it is, Hiruzen said. And what are you going to say or do to this person, Naruto said. Nothing. I would just like to know. You promise, Naruto said. Hiruzen looked at him for a moment. Yes, I promise, he said. Alright, fine. But she taught me a lot. Nothing dangerous because she knew that I would probably get myself in danger. She, Hiruzen said, feeling relief and also a bit surprised as well. Well, I met someone not too long ago. Well, it was a few years back. Her name is Anko Midarashi. Hiruzen's eyes widened when he heard that. Not because it was bad or anything, but it was because of who was teaching Naruto. He had no problem with Anko one bit. It was just her personality and attitude. He hoped that that doesn't rub off on Naruto. However, it didn't seem to have affected him as much as he would have thought. He sat down beside him. So, Anko has been teaching you? Yeah, she's my friend. She's shown me a few fighting styles here and there. I told her to teach me some jutsu, but she wouldn't, saying that it was too dangerous, saying that I'm not ready, said Naruto, hoping that would sway the old man from thinking that she was doing anything dangerous. So, is everything alright? As I said, I didn't have a problem with it. I just hope you had told me sooner, Hiruzen said, so I would have been kept in the loop. However, she seemed to have taught you rather well, immobilizing the top rookie of the year that easily. It showed that your strength has been, well, greatly misunderstood. If you would have shown this in the previous years, your testing in the academy would have risen significantly. But that wouldn't really affect me becoming a ninja, right? No, not really, Hiruzen said. Well, it doesn't bother me then, said Naruto. I just wanted to make sure I got back at that Uchiha. You really keep that grudge for so long, huh? Hiruzen said, getting up. You shouldn't do that, after all. If you pass the upcoming test, he will be a future comrade of yours. Huh, me and him working together. That sounds like a terrible idea, said Naruto. Hiruzen looked rather amused and worried at the same time. Time skip. Sir, you summoned. Anko said, entering the office, acting professional. This was the Hokage Naruto recently had a test at the academy to see how much he has grown over the past couple of years, and the results were rather shocking. Upon questioning him, he told me that you were the one behind this. Huh. So the little rat rapped me out, huh? She said. She looked rather, well, not upset about it one bit. Why would she be? I take it that wasn't a problem, she said, looking towards Hiruzen. No, not really. I just never knew that you two were so close. He would have done anything to make sure that you didn't get in trouble, even outright refusing to tell me who taught him, if he thought that you would have gotten in trouble. Anko seemed rather proud. At least the kid is loyal, she thought in her mind. So tell me, how did this whole thing start up, he said. Naruto wasn't rather vague on his retelling of the story. Well, it is a long story, she said. Wait, what else did he tell you, she said. What do you mean, said Hiruzen, as Uncle looked towards him. Time skip. Naruto was once again back in the office, having just entered. Old man, he said. What is it now, he asked. I was busy. Naruto, when you told me yesterday that you got strong pretty fast, I did not take much to your words, thinking that you and Uncle have been doing this for many years now. However, she told me that she just recently started to help you with your fighting style. Yeah, that's correct, said Naruto. Hiruzen looked at Naruto oddly. Tell me something. How has things been going lately? What do you mean? In your everyday life, beyond your training, Hiruzen said. Well, I don't sleep that much anymore, said Naruto. I think that was strange, but I don't really feel tired despite not sleeping that much. To think of it, I don't really feel tired that much lately. Unless I really push myself, then I get tired. Oh, and I recently found a nice trick that I can do, said Naruto. What do you mean, Hiruzen said. I can take the ramen pot off the stove without anything, Naruto said to him. Explain, Hiruzen said. I can take the ramen pot off the stove without anything, Naruto said once again. Yes, I heard what you said. What do you mean by that? Well, I was moving a bit too fast and accidentally picked up the pot without realizing that I didn't have anything to hold it. It burned at first. However, it wasn't that bad. And the more time passed, the more it stopped burning. Are you telling me that you took the hot pot off the stove and it no longer burns you, Hiruzen said. Yeah, pretty much. I figured that was a bit strange. It is, isn't it? Yes, it is. You should have come to me sooner about this, Hiruzen said, getting up. I want you to come with me. Where are we going? Just come, Hiruzen said, as he took Naruto to another building entirely. Naruto has never been here before. Entering, Naruto met a man known as Yamamoto. The man was talking to Hiruzen for a while until he looked towards him. He then told Naruto to follow him. Where? Said Naruto. Just go with him. He's going to run a few tests to see what this entails, Hiruzen said. Naruto shrugged as he went with the man. Around an hour later, he returned looking rather, well, surprised. This is a new one, he said, looking at Hiruzen. His body is, well, strange, as he pulled out a few x-rays. Look at this. What is this? Hiruzen said. That is his x-rays when I told him to see just how far he can bend. You see this right here? That's his spine. Why does he look like that? Hiruzen said. His spine had somehow congealed itself, allowing him mobility and flexibility that most people could only dream of. But how is this possible? Hiruzen asked. That I have no idea. By all testing theories, this should be impossible. But it isn't just that though. The calluses on his hands, the inside, they're not just normal calluses. Their strength is sublime, truly so, allowing a rough exterior. Not to mention it has these brittles on it, which would allow for better climbing. It also on the bottom of his feet as well. And his eyes. I did a visual test on him. His eyes might be compatible to a hawk, which should be impossible, but I saw it in my own eyes, Hiruzen said. Whatever is going on with this boy, I think I know what it is, but this should take at least hundreds or maybe thousands of years. And what is that? Hiruzen said. Evolution. He's evolving. Evolving? Into what? Not into what? Into everything. Harrison looked at the man, finding this quite complicated, because what he said was not making much sense. Each aspect of his body is evolving into something that allows him to perform activities as a ninja much better. I'm not sure about his physical or mental strength, but in terms of his body insides, it's evolving, allowing itself for better mobility. The muscles in his legs have gotten so strong. His bone density has increased. You would think that would be a drawback to his speed, but it's not. His body is building muscles and tissues in a way that it wouldn't affect him in the slightest. Evolution like this would take probably thousands of years, and yet this child is only 12. This should not be possible. I did a thorough check inside and out, and I see no side effect that would prove to make this be harmful. After what we spoke about, I thought that the other thing might play a part in this, but it's not. It has nothing to do with this. It seemed like the boy possessed a latent ability. Evolution. The only name that we can call it right now, which allows him to evolve constantly. At this rate, we have no idea just how truly far this evolution can go. Harrison was rather shocked. All this time, he thought. He had no idea. Uncle had no idea. She just thought that the kid was a quick learner. Naruto wanted her there for her to hear what and how awesome he was. She was proud of him, at least knowing that he would be a awesome ninja in the future. And she would be a part of it, to be his first sensei. While Iruka was there, Naruto saw her as a sensei more, and as a big sister as well. Time skip. Transform, said Naruto. Iruka and Mizuki was rather shocked as Naruto transformed into a wolf. The problem was, the transformation jutsu was just that, a transformation that was physical but at the same time not truly, because it could be dispelled. But the saliva that came from its mouth, the fur that looked so authentic and real, was rather immaculate. How did this boy reach this realism, where the technique was truly beyond them? However, this was not by coincidence or anything that was beyond their imagination, because Naruto was really a wolf. He had practiced a bit with the transformation jutsu, and his body had leveled up and evolved into truly becoming what he transformed into. So Naruto wasn't just taking on the aspect of a wolf. He had everything that the animal possessed. He was literally a wolf. Hitting him, hurting him would not dispel the technique, unless he was knocked unconscious, or he was wounded badly to the point where he was losing a lot of blood. But Naruto wasn't quite aware of that just yet. But this event started to make him see things differently, as he was seeing through the wolf eyes. Looking at the humans in front of him, it's like he could smell their emotions. As animals like this was able to feel things from their prey and their hunter with the smell that they give off. And Naruto could feel a lot coming from Mizuki. Returning back to his normal state, the next technique was the clone technique, as Naruto summoned a perfect copy of himself. Iruka got up with a smile, telling him that he passed. "Alright," said Naruto as he spun. The clone spin as well as they slapped their hands together in a high five. Iruka and Mizuki was shocked. They touched, as Naruto was busy celebrating. "Naruto," Iruka said. How did you touch the clone?" he asked. "The clone wasn't supposed to be physical." "What do you mean?" "Like this," said Naruto as he poked the clone, once again surprising both of them. They questioned him, well, mostly Iruka did, on what he just did, if he did the Shadow Clone Jutsu, but Naruto had no idea what was that. Similar to the transformation jutsu, his body leveled up and evolved, allowing him to create a physical aspect out of something that should not be physical. Because it wasn't just him that was evolving, it was also his chakra as well, and the leveling up was helping to maintain the physical form of the clone. You could only imagine how far this technique could go as he evolved and leveled up. Iruka was trying to rack his brain and understand what Naruto did a moment ago because he saw the hand signs clearly, and it was for the clone technique. How on earth was the clone physical? He will have to bring this up with the Hokage sometime later, as Naruto was able to do the impossible. However, later that night Naruto ran into a rather nasty situation. "Don't do it!" Iruka shouted. Naruto was currently shocked, as Mizuki told him why the villagers hated him, why they treated him this way. Things had went from bad to worse after graduating. Naruto wasn't feeling so good. Uncle was out of the village. An unfortunate mission on the day that he was going to become a genin. Naruto had made his way out in the forest to simply train. However, when he was returning late back in the night, he took a shortcut, jumping over the fence and heading to the forest next by, so he wouldn't have to go around the creek. That is when he saw Mizuki. Yes, Mizuki was tussling with Iruka, Iruka having found him, as he was in the process of stealing the Forbidden Scroll, having used another ninja, and killing that ninja after receiving his help. A battle broke out between the two, and Iruka was losing. Mizuki was always a better fighter between them. Naruto interrupted by knocking Mizuki away and grabbing the scroll. Mizuki decided to use an emotional warfare against Naruto. Now that Naruto was not thinking straightly after being told that he was a Nine Tails, a former shuriken was launched towards him with the intention to take his head clean off. The next thing Naruto knew, he was on the ground, Iruka shielding him with his body, the former shuriken sticking out of his back. "Run," Iruka said. For the first time in his life, Naruto was truly terrified. He got his emotion mixed up. The bomb that was dropped on him, and what he was told. Naruto grabbed the scroll and ran away. Iruka, ripping the shuriken out, he got to his feet. Barely. Mizuki started to talk. Why? Stick up for that monster. He was the one that killed your parents after all. Iruka merely laughed. However, his laugh was not at the situation. It was at the pain, and it was just laughable. You call him a monster, and yet, look what you're doing to someone who's supposed to be one of your closest friends and comrades. Yeah, you're right. Naruto may be hyperactive, loud, and even sometimes annoying. However, a monster? Far from it, he said. Naruto had not run away. Having stopped behind the tree, Naruto heard as Iruka was talking about him, as he was now a ninja of the Hidden Leaf and his comrade. He would give his life for the boy. Naruto was stunned. Having feel such emotions for people like Uncle, but he thought that there would never be someone else that cared this much about him. Gigi Uncle, yes. The ramen family was nice to him as well. But Iruka's words were beyond touching. Mizuki decided that he had enough before he could deliver the final blow though. So this is how I die, Iruka said. Naruto's fist smashed into Mizuki's face, shattering a few of his teeth, launching him away. He crashed hard, slamming into a tree. Mizuki keeled over in pain and spit out his teeth that were broken and blood pouring out of his mouth. He looked up, his eyes filled with rage. Naruto, what are you doing here? Iruka said. I'll kill you, Mizuki said, getting to his feet. I'll kill the both of you right here and now. There was no joke, no laughter on Naruto's face. I would like to see you try, he said. He brought his hand together. The next moment, the entire clearing was filled with smoke. These were supposed to be normal clones, however. They did not come as such. As Naruto not only did the impossible once again, he took the impossible to another level completely. Mizuki's eyes went wide as he was surrounded by at least 100 wolf and 100 bear as well. As for Naruto, he had transformed himself into a giant snake with red glowing eyes, poison dripping from his very mouth. Once again, something that the transformation jutsu shouldn't have done actually gave him poison. He hissed at Mizuki, who tried to run away, but when the first bear mauled him by ripping into his shirt, slashing out his chest, he was done. The wolves then jumped forward as they started to bite down on him, as a snake came in and dug underground before sending him to the sky. It curled upon itself before shooting above him. It brought down its entire weight on him. Boom! It slammed him so viciously down in the ground. Mizuki was done. He was bleeding from head to toe. His right eye was gone, having been ripped out by one of the wolf's teeth. He was a mess. There was no chance that he could survive this, given the fact that there was a massive slash in his stomach, and his throat was bit as well. The snake crushed every ribs in his body. Suddenly they started to poof away. Naruto's body did not poof, instead. His body seemed to regress back to a human child, his clothing appearing back on him, leaving Haruka stunned and baffled. To what the hell was that? Naruto stood there, taking very deep breath. What he just did requires so much chakra. It was a shocker that he was still standing. It just goes to show how much chakra Naruto possessed. Naruto made his way towards Haruka. As he looked towards his sensei bleeding back. However, there was nothing that Naruto could do about it, as he did not possess the ability to heal. And that was emotionally hurting him that he couldn't save his sensei. However, Haruka gave Naruto a smile and told him that he would be fine. He promised that he wouldn't die here. It was like the heavens heard their call as the envoys arrived to the scene. Haruka was taken to the infirmary and Mizuki was taken to the morgue. Time skip. When Naruto woke up the next morning, Anko was there. Yes, she was within his apartment. He actually came down to see breakfast, waiting for him. Surprise! She came back last night and had a talk with the Hokage. Last night was a really emotional and stressful night for Naruto. Naruto sat down, as she sat down there as well. I'm sorry, she said. It's alright, Naruto said to her. I know about the rule, the law that Gigi set. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't tell me, said Naruto. So I don't blame you one bit. There's nothing for you to worry about. Besides, Naruto said, if you wanted to do me a favor, you could have bought us some breakfast. Because, once again, you can't cook. His humor took the heaviness away from the situation, causing her to laugh before punching him down to the ground and mocking her cooking. As Naruto got back up, she asked him how he felt. Well, considering that you just punched me, my cheek kind of hurt. Not that much though. Not about that, she said. About everything now that you know. Well, the old man explained everything carefully to me, so I know the Nine Tails is sealed inside of me. But I don't understand why, out of everyone else, would the fourth Hokage choose me. Maybe he saw something in you, she said, that none of the kids that he saw at the time had. After all, I've already seen that 100 times. That light that you possess that no one else do. That can never be diminished no matter what. You did say that it was your dream to become the greatest ever, right? Well, if you were to give up now, you can't achieve that dream. Unlike most people who says it, I actually believe that you can do it. Really, said Naruto looking up towards her. Of course. Have I ever lied to you? Multiple times, said Naruto. Well, this is not a lie. Besides, you kicked Mizuki's ass. And he was a chunin. So props for that. Naruto looked down. He's dead, isn't he? He is. The wounds were too much and he died. How does that make you feel? I don't know. I mean, I should feel bad, right? I mean, I did kill someone. But he was a traitor who tried to kill me. Listen to me. It's just a natural emotion that you will feel. Trust me, everyone go through it. Even me. You? But you're so tough, said Naruto. Yeah, I am, she said, but taking your first life is rather hectic. However, I'm here for you to help you through it, so there's nothing for you to worry about. But know this, you did nothing wrong, and keep in mind the field that you're entering. This will not be the last. So you have to be prepared. Naruto nodded. Time skip. Recovering well, Iruka returned back to the academy. As Naruto returned back there as well. Headband. It was proudly displayed on his head. As they seated within the class, Iruka was listing off what was going to happen and the teams that they will be placed on. Immediately, Naruto and Sasuke snapped their gaze towards each other, sending each other a glare. Ever since Sasuke lost to him, there has been a real hectic, emotional fight against the both of them. And this just made it worse. They were going to be on the goddamn same team. However, Sakura was in her own world, overjoyed. She had Sasuke. She stuck her tongue out at Ino, her main rival. Ino banged her head on the decks repeatedly. When she heard that she was on the same team as Shikamaru and Choji, her head broke through the decks, causing Sakura to laugh. However, Team 7 was left alone, with no one else in the class. Everyone was gone. Their sensei was the only one that was not here. Why out of everyone must our sensei be late, Sakura said. I guess our team is just cursed, Naruto said, glaring towards Uchiha, not liking him on the same team that he was on. Nothing is wrong with our team. However, maybe something is wrong with our sensei, Sakura said. Naruto didn't really have a problem with her. He used to like her, but not that much anymore. Otherwise, though, everything was fine. And he did not really annoy Sakura that much, so she wasn't really bothered by him. Sasuke chose to remain quiet. After waiting around for what seemed to be 2 hours, Naruto had enough. This guy was going to show up and regret his actions. Naruto simply walked up on the wall. Now that shocked the members, like they didn't understand how he was doing that. His hands. He was walking on the wall. There was no chakra involved. He was simply sticking to it. Sakura made her way and looked up. How are you doing that? Oh, my body evolves really fast, said Naruto. Getting to high surfaces without jumping was always a problem, and my body overcome it and leveled up, said Naruto. As he had the duster and placed it right between the door, he flipped and landed. However, the other two were still confused by what he was talking about. You can't be talking about evolution. Things like that take thousands of years, so that's not possible, Sakura said. Well, it is. You just see what I did, right? Said Naruto. So how can you say that it's not possible? That had to be some kind of trick. Did you use chakra, she said. Nope, said Naruto. I'm just pretty awesome. You're lying, she said, folding her arms. I'm not buying it. Fine, buy what you want. But he's coming. And how would you know that? I can smell him, said Naruto. And also hear him as well. The door opened up as the eraser fell right on Kakashi's head. Really, Sasuke said. This guy's our Jonin. He fell for that. Sakura looked horrified. Trying to be innocent. That's what you get, said Naruto, for showing up late. Kakashi looked at them. My first impression of all of you. You're annoying, he said. Time skip. After their introduction, they were told about a test tomorrow. Luckily for Naruto, eating was not becoming a problem anymore. He loved to eat. Food was enjoyable, but he doesn't feel hungry as often. So skipping a meal was pretty easy. The other two, on the other hand, Sakura hadn't eaten the night before, claiming to be on a diet, and Sasuke, well, he was hungry as well. Kakashi arrived hours later, pissing them off as Sakura and Naruto yelled at him. He told them that a black cat crossed his path. He had to take the long way around. He then pulled out the bells, explaining the tests. However, that is where the problem lies. There were 3 of them. Why 2 bells? Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Time skip. Kakashi was in the office. The man was dirty. Yes. His clothing was torn. However, he can officially say that Team 7 passed. All of this though came from Naruto. Hiruzen looked rather amused, knowing that Kakashi would underestimate them. When you told me that the boy was special, I never had this in mind. What did he do? Hiruzen asked. He transformed into 500 large bears, and all of them attacked me. I then came across around 100 snakes, and wolf as well, and then spiders. Adding all of them up, the numbers went to the 1,000. I had to fight all of them off. Their strength. Replicate the animal perfectly. The webbing. And the spiders had not very powerful but acid. Hiruzen looked rather amused, giving Kakashi funny appearance. Well, I wanted you to see for yourself. How did things play out in the end though? Well, they passed. Knowing that, well, at first I thought it was just because he had a crush on her, but that wasn't the case. He didn't actively know what the test was about, neither did the Uchiha, but they realized that they need their strength. So they both offer her food. Naruto going as much to offer her his, saying that he wasn't hungry. They passed my test. It was touch and go there, but in the end they surprised me. Given the bad blood between the Uchiha and the Uzumaki. But I think it's something that I can work on. Now for Naruto, what exactly is going on there? Well, the more time passes, the more his body evolves. Into what, Kakashi said? Time skip. Team 7 has been at Team 4 over a month and a half now. As Naruto was heading back to the office, the cat was loving Naruto, rubbing his cheek against Naruto's. It was because he had recently turned into a cat, and it was indistinguishable between a real feline and himself, because he literally became a cat. Kakashi was amazed, as he's never heard of a bloodline like this before. However, he could only imagine the endless possibilities. So far, Team 7 has been working together, but they haven't really bonded. So Kakashi figured that it was time. However, Naruto beat into the punch, having enough of these boring missions. He wanted something more difficult. Aruka, who was in there, chastised him for asking for something when his probational period of being a genin was not up yet. He had to complete a few D-rank missions, more than a few to be quite exact, and it had to be more than 2 months. However, Kakashi figured that they were ready. Despite Aruka being against it, Hiruzen accepted these terms. So with that, Team 7 was granted a C rank. It started with Naruto threatening to attack Tazuna after the man insulted them, calming down as they made their way. Sakura was curious as they were walking. She wanted to know about the Land of Wave. That is when Naruto picked up on something. His eyes had evolved even more. Naruto could see vibrations in the air. Vibrations that no one else could see. The water was masking their scent. Inside of the puddle, confusion marred his face. There was 2 of them. Naruto glanced towards Kakashi, who seemed to be unaware. As he slowly looked towards Sasuke and Sakura, who didn't seem to be aware either. He wondered what he should do right here and now. When something came to mind, it was what Uncle said to him. Despite his lazy demeanor, Kakashi was one of the best jonins in the village. So the man has to know, right? Perhaps he didn't want to give away that he knew they were there. So Naruto decided to be quiet. Yes, he did. When they passed the puddle though, Kakashi was ripped apart. All of their eyes went wide. However, Naruto smelled Kakashi. He was not there. Naruto turned his gaze towards the foliage. But why would he? Damn it, he had no time for that. However, Sasuke jumped forward and stopped them. The demon brothers broke the chain as one of them headed towards Naruto. Naruto could feel his intention to kill. However, he remembered what happened between him and Mizuki. There was no time for him to freeze up now. Naruto ducked. He weaved and dodged, moving, twisting, and bending his back. The demon brother was frustrated that he couldn't hit the kid. As he swung upwards, Naruto brought his hand down and stopped. He stopped it. The demon brother was struggling as Naruto gripped into his hand. Miyaizu's eyes went wide, feeling his bones creak as Naruto applied an obscene amount of strength. "No, you don't," said Naruto. He turned the hand with a considerable amount of force, breaking the wrist. That was all he needed. 2 clones materialized. One of them went down low behind Miyaizu's legs. The other one kicked him, allowing him to fall over. While grabbing Naruto's hand and throwing him in the air, Naruto spun, thrusting his hands out like a snake. When he came down, he slammed down into his stomach. The pressure spread all over Miyaizu's body as Naruto hit a very powerful point inside of his system, knocking him out cold. Sasuke was still facing off against the other one as Naruto ran forward and pulled something out of his pouch. Ninja wire. He ran forward. He jumped, but then he rolled away. Trying to distract me, Gozu thought. Well, it's not gonna work. However, Sasuke saw what Naruto did. Now, Naruto shouted. Sasuke backed away, jumping to be more exact. "No, you don't," Gozu said, jumping forward as Naruto yanked the wire that was around his leg. Sasuke then jumped forward and delivered a brutal kick, throwing him back. As Naruto jumped, tying the wire to a tree, suspending him in mid-air, causing Sasuke to chop him in the neck, knocking him out cold. Sakura released a heavy breath as she stood in front of Tazuna with a kunai in her hand. That is when Kakashi reappeared. He was pretty impressed. Time skip. A lot was learned during their boat ride, after Tazuna confessed that he lied about the mission, but none of them wanted to go back. Sakura kind of wanted to, but she didn't want to be seen as the odd man out, so she accepted. However, Kakashi was immensely proud. Even Naruto and Sasuke knew that. They had to cut what they were usually doing against one another. After all, this was going to be dangerous. As they arrived towards the misty area, after getting off the boat, the man wished them luck. Unlike the others, Naruto could see rather clearly. The vision was a bit of a problem going far out, but Naruto could see the vibration in the air. He could see the small movements of the animals, the squirrels, the rabbits, moving around. Despite the distance, he could see the water dropping off the leaf, the condensation. As they made their way, Naruto hearing picked up on something. However, it was just a rabbit. He could hear the noise that it was making. When the rabbit revealed itself though, Kakashi noticed a fur. Naruto snapped his head around. "Something's coming," he said. That is when Kakashi heard it. "Get down, all of you," he said, tackling the bridge builder down to the ground as the others went flat. Zabuza, Momochi appeared, the demon of the hidden mist. However, Naruto was looking around. A distance away, Zabuza's partner was watching. When Naruto gaze snapped in the exact direction. Impossible. Haku thought, "There's no way that he could know that I'm here." As Naruto's gaze was focused on where he was, but he had to move when Zabuza made a move as Kakashi told him to form around Tazuna. However, Kakashi got captured. He told them to run away. The water clones could not get far. Both Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other as they turned towards Sakura. They were all nervous and worried after just feeling the killer intent. However, it was bothering Naruto less and less. He looked towards the other two, those who leave their comrade behind. Or even worse than trash, said Naruto. Both Sakura and Sasuke nodded, both of them understanding. Tazuna was freaking the hell out, but the kids were calm. The water clone stepped forward, holding the massive cleaver in his hand. "I have an idea," said Naruto. The next moment, smoke filled the area. Zabuza clone watched as another clone arrive. He smirked. "You think a transformation would be able to work against me?" The clone of him thrust forward as their blades clashed. Zabuza's original clone was confused. "No, that's not possible," he said, clashing with the thing. It did not speak, it simply attacked, rather violently. The clone had enough and bisected it. That is when he looked all around. He was surrounded by copies of himself. "What the hell is this?" the real Zabuza said. "Who the hell is doing this? There is no way that a transformation jutsu could fight. It would immediately be dispelled. How was someone able to master, to hold the chakra to this degree, to even make the weapon, be able to clash against another?" Zabuza was confused. Kakashi realized that Naruto was doing all of this. He himself was shocked, having no idea that the boy could do this on people. He literally transformed into something or someone, taking on their shape. He evolved to transform into something that was physical and not just an illusion. At the moment, Kakashi's mind was being blown once again, thinking of the possibilities if Naruto was able to evolve this even further. What would that mean? That is when a kunai was thrown by Sakura, an explosive tag on the end. Boom! The clone was too much surrounded and engrossed to do anything as he was blown up, along with the others. Zabuza could not see through all the smoke. until he saw a massive fireball racing towards him. He held his blade out. His eyes went wide as he had to jump. Two snakes leaping out of the ocean. He flipped away immediately, only to see something underneath the water. His eyes widened. What the hell? Haku, who was standing nearby, eyes also widened under his mask. He had to help his master. Now! Kakashi's eyes also widened to what was coming up. Tazuna was shocked as hell. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs coming your way on the other channels. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.